Buenos días.
Good morning. My name is Veronica Soto. I'm the Trade Commissioner at the Consulate of Canada in Guadalajara. I will be your moderator today. Welcome to our plenary session on new modalities for international alliances between Jalisco and British Columbia. Before we begin, we would like to remind you that participants can submit questions on Facebook Live, where a team of experts is on hand to note your questions and forward them to our panelists so they can answer them at the end of the session. We would like to also remind you that our transmission is available in Spanish on the Open Platform for Innovation's Facebook page and in English on their YouTube channel.
By clicking to the icon that is on the bottom right, you will be able to select the language of your preference. Me permito ahora presentar a las autoridades.
Without further ado, the next step is for me to introduce the esteemed Mexican and Canadian presenters. Louis Coughlin, Consul and Senior Trade Commissioner at the Consul of Canada in Guadalajara. Mr. Alfonso Pompa Padilla, Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology for the Government of the State of Jalisco. Jamie Edwardson, Executive Director for Planning, International and Quality Assurance, representing the Minister of Advanced Education, Skills and Training of British Columbia. Nadia Mireles, Director of the Open Platform for Innovation. Randall Martin, Executive Director of the British Columbia Council for International Education. Father Francisco Ramirez Yanez, President of the University of the Valley of Atemajac and Coordinator of the Jalisco Consortium for the Internationalization of Higher Education. Allison Clinton, Director of the Internationalization Office at the Western Institute of Technology and Higher Education. Natasha Fernandez, Global Development Manager at Kwantlen Polytechnic University. We will now hear the welcome message from Ms. Nadia Mireles Torres, Director of the Open Platform for Innovation. Ms. Mireles has worked at the University of Guadalajara in a number of areas, among them General Coordinator of Internationalization and on projects related to technology for enabling learning. I will now give the floor to Ms. Nadia Mireles Torres to inaugurate this plenary session. Thank you, Veronica. Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone, and good morning. I am so happy to be here today and welcome you to our plenary session, New Modalities for International Alliances between Jalisco and British Columbia, focused on international education. This virtual event shows us clearly what we're going to be doing now to close distances. This coronavirus pandemic has brought so many challenges for all of us, for everyone all over the world. In a question of weeks, all economic processes and health safety processes changed completely, and education is not an exception. Now we have virtual classes, and we were forced all to adopt new technologies. We've also identified opportunities, and those will not wait. Professors, administrators, students, we've all been faced with this challenge of how do we continue learning and how do we use technology in its new mode. Higher education has responded to this pandemic, and one question it asks is, what are we going to do for international education cooperation in the short and medium long term? The question is, we know that 40% of international students considered changing their plans because of this. This percentage today is even higher. We've even seen estimates that it could be 5 years before internationalization processes recover from COVID. This is why it's so wonderful to have participation from British Columbia for international, the BCCIE, so that we can take advantage of opportunities that we see are numerous. Over the last few months, we've seen how important it is to reimagine internationalization. We've identified new modalities for cooperation, including educational experiences and international experiences without traveling anywhere. We see we can develop projects online, we can have virtual classrooms. These are just a few of many possibilities. And I think that these initiatives clearly are going to bring new perspectives, and it means that we're all going to have to put in a lot of effort. So we need the effort of everyone together to make this happen. We also have the challenge of internationalizing curriculum. we have to renovate, we have to renew the way that we're doing things and be focused on understanding from different disciplines and cultures in all sorts of different contexts. In Jalisco, higher education institutions have more than 1,200 agreements signed with universities abroad. This puts Jalisco in the second place as the most important education destination in the country. So the collaboration between Jalisco and British Columbia is highly relevant. That's why I'm so happy to be participating here today, because I know that this is going to lead to new modalities, some that existed, but all others that are going to be increased in how they're applied. And with that, I would like to formally inaugurate this plenary session, New Modalities for International Alliances between Jalisco and British Columbia for International Education. I wish you all the very best success in this session, and thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Nadia Mireles. I am pleased to introduce our next speaker, Mr. Alfonso Pompapadilla, Minister of Innovation, Science, and Technology. Mr. Pompapadilla worked for more than 35 years at the Monterrey Institute of Technology and Higher Education, teaching courses in leadership and strategic planning to director-level positions. Mr. Minister Pompa, I will now pass you the floor. Good morning to everyone. It's wonderful to be here with all of you. Here I see myself. I'm very brightly illuminated here. I hadn't taken a look before. I'm here in Mexico City and there's quite a bit of light here. But I am here to congratulate you on this event and of course to all participants. But very much I would like to thank the General Consul from Canada, Louis Coughlin. It's great to be here with you and be sharing this forum with you. And of course, thank you to our friends in British Columbia, Jamie Edwardson, Randall Martin, Executive Director of BCCIE, and of course, Ms. Natasha Fernandez from KPU. And on behalf, on the Guadalajara side, I would also like to say hello to Father Francisco Ramirez Yanez, President of the University of Valle of Atemajac, and coordinator of the Jalisco Consortium for the Internationalization of Higher Education, as well as to Allison Clinton, Director of the Internationalization Office. And of course, to Ms. Nadia Mireles, Director of the Open Platform for Innovation. You gave a wonderful introduction to what we're going to be talking about here today in terms of international relationships in the midst of a pandemic. We do hope that some part of the emergency, the most urgent part of it, has passed. But of course, this is going to go on for quite some time, at least a year, at least until we find a vaccine or a cure or some sort of treatment. Therefore, I think it's important for us to talk about our concerns in terms of government agencies and higher education institutions. Professors and students who participate in international agreements want to know, how can we find solutions? We know that this is a highly valued asset of working together. These international programs are of the utmost importance. We have worked with British Columbia and Canada before, but now with the restrictions in place, we're going to have to do it in a new way. All of us who are within these international programs understand the risks involved in the pandemic. And of course, the restrictions for traveling. We're also talking about problems getting visas, or students who are just going for a short period of time to an international destination. This is a big concern for students, their families, and also for the institutions. And of course, for financing to be able to support these types of programs. This has affected us in general in public administration. We've had budget cuts, and those have been related to the crisis and the need to use public resources for other areas. This is what has happened across numerous levels of governments. But we have the good news that we are strengthening our virtual learning platforms. And specifically for Jalisco, we can see how universities have quickly increased their technological capacities in terms of training teachers and making sure that people are on board to be able to take classes virtually. We probably all agree that nothing is a substitute for an experience of being physically in another country and living there and being able to learn about their culture. But nevertheless, technology will help us probably to somewhat substitute those international experiences. It will also help us to continue to advance so that when we can have in-person inter-exchanges, that we will have previously laid the groundwork for that. And it will even be more effective when that does happen and we're in the other countries. We've had plenty of experiences as education institutions, especially hand in hand with the government. And this helps us to understand that we can use distant education to work virtually on international programs. In fact, in Jalisco, we've invested in the Open Innovation Platform. And this has been very timely because with the pandemic, we can still train people in terms of webinars in the state of Jalisco. And we can also use this to enable us to develop our relationships with British Columbia. So thank you so much. And I hope we can collaborate on finding solutions in the middle of this pandemic. And above all, with the hope that soon we'll be able to see each other in person. Thank you. Thank you, Minister Pompa. We will now hear from Mr. Jamie Edwardson, Executive Director for Planning, International and Quality Assurance, who is representing the Minister of Advanced Education, Skills and Training of British Columbia. Mr. Edwardson's work, it prioritizes focusing on students to bring sustainable international education to the forefront for British Columbia, which also offers global opportunities for students in BC, as well as benefits to international students who are received by the province.
Buenos días a todos. A usted, Ministerio, y a todos los invitados a este Congreso Internacional.
Good morning.
On behalf of the Province of British Columbia and the Minister of Advanced Education, Skills and Training, the Honourable Melanie Mark, I thank Minister Pompa Padilla for inviting the Government of British Columbia to speak at this international virtual forum. The circumstances of the past several months have really pushed us to find new ways to keep our connections, maintain friendships both near and distant, develop new opportunities for the post-secondary and education sector thrive. Creative solutions like this virtual plenary and business-to-business meetings help these connections in new ways and strengthen an important relationship that will benefit students and educators of both Jalisco and British Columbia. We strongly believe that international education enriches student development and connects us all to the benefit of the global knowledge economy. The education partnership between British Columbia and Jalisco demonstrates a strong commitment to collaboration. Today's event will help our education sectors reconnect, discuss the importance of international relations for higher education in new virtual contexts, and explore opportunities for further collaboration between jurisdictions. British Columbia has developed a strong international reputation, a high-quality study destination, and an international partner between institutions. We are working hard to ensure our province continues to deliver the quality education experience that all students expect and deserve, including an enriched education experience through international partnership development. I applaud everyone for finding an innovative way to come together to discuss this important topic at such a different time. And I wish you all the best in your discussions to build collaboration opportunities. I also look forward to future events that will further grow the bonds between Jalisco and British Columbia, and we will be working hard to make sure that those opportunities happen. Thank you very much again for the opportunity, and on behalf of Minister Mark and the Government of British Columbia, best wishes for the entire conference and forum. Thank you.
Gracias, Mr. Edwardson, por sus palabras.
Thank you so much. The perspectives of these two regions enable us to also hear from Randall Martin, Executive Director of the BCCIE. Randall has more than 30 years of experience in post-secondary education, development education, project management, and implementation and international education. Since 2006, he has led BCCIE in advancing the province of British Columbia's agenda on international education.
Thank you very much. Muchas gracias and buenos dias a todos. I was going to try to speak a little bit more Spanish, but Jamie just blew me out of the water there, so I think I'll have to stick to English here. Good morning, everyone, and hello from sunny Vancouver. I want to begin by thanking our post-secondary colleagues in both Jalisco and BC for joining us this morning, as I know September is an extremely busy month for all of you and for all of us. In fact, my 12-year-old just started grade 7 today, so it was a very exciting morning in our house, although he's regretting it already, I believe. Thanks, of course, especially to Vito and to our Canadian Trade Commissioners and Consular Corps in Mexico and abroad for their ongoing and great support of academic relationships and partnerships and the broader education enterprise. Also, of course, sincere thanks to our colleagues from Mexico, to Minister Padilla, the Ministry of Innovation, Science and Technology, and especially to the Jalisco Consortium, to my colleagues here in BC, Jamie and the Ministry of Advanced Education and Skills Training, and to my overworked and underpaid colleagues here at BCCIE. They've done a lot of work on this, and I thank them very much for pushing this forward. It is through platforms that we create through bilateral government and association relationships, such as those between Mexico and Canada, between Mexico and British Columbia, between Jalisco and British Columbia and BCCIE, especially in these COVID times, where we can make opportunities for our institutions to meet and to speed date, to share their telephone numbers and email addresses, maybe meet at our conference in Victoria next June or at meetings in Mexico when they can meet up in person and finalize these academic relationships. Over the past few months, post-secondary institutions in BC have been working with great diligence to transition academic programming for both domestic and international students. And thank you for all of your hard work. I want to thank Jamie and Minister Padilla for their comments today on highlighting the importance of ongoing academic collaboration between Jalisco and British Columbia in order to establish generational relationships between Mexico and Canada and to diversify the international education sector at a time when we all need it most. Now more than ever, we're seeing the significance of remaining resilient as our sector adapts to a dramatic change in circumstances and our ability to engage face-to-face. Some things will never return to the way they were, and some things will feel like we never left them when we come back to the new normal for the first time. With many international students being asked to stay in their home countries and pursue their learning online, the pandemic has emphasized that education abroad offers undeniable intercultural learning and growth opportunities for students from around the globe. The pandemic has offered us an opportunity to reimagine our sector, and it has given us more scope than ever for collaboration. The necessary move to online and hybrid instruction has prompted innovation and created the potential for more access, diversity, equity, and inclusion in international education. Since we entered into an MOU in 2017, BCCIE has been working with the Jalisco Consortium in the support of activities and relationships towards the internationalization of higher education in both jurisdictions to advance joint research, teacher training, faculty, staff, mobility. From the signing of that MOU, we've seen a number of BC institutions create their own agreements with institutions in Jalisco, some of whom you'll be hearing from later this morning. And I really want to thank again the consortium for their work to date in advancing these partnerships. Today, I think, is the beginning of an opportunity for us to do even more. In 2019, more than 5,000 students from Mexico came to British Columbia to study. With a population of 8.6 million in Jalisco alone, Western Mexico is emerging as a priority market and partner for British Columbia. For BC students going abroad, Jalisco's post-secondary institutions offer an opportunity to study in a country and in a region with strong cultural ties in a quality world-class education system that is affordable. Diversity is critical to ensure stability within our sector. In meaningful partnerships, institutions like yours have the potential to support not just your own, but other institutions' internationalization agendas and efforts. Our upcoming B2B meetings will help foster these conversations. I'm hopeful that today is the next step in advancing and supporting two-way mobility opportunities for students and faculty between BC and Jalisco. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias. Trabajo duro. Piensa en grande. Buena suerte. Ciao. Thank you.
Thank you, Randall, for your words.
Thank you, Mr. Randall Martin.
Y ahora le damos espacio.
We will now open the floor to Father Francisco Ramirez Yañez, President of the University of the Valley of Atemajac. In 2004, he was invited to be part of the board of directors of the Pontifical Mexican College in Rome as prefect of studies, where he was also president from 2005 to 2011. He is currently president of the UNIVA and of the Organization of Catholic Universities in Latin America and the Caribbean, OJUCAL, as well as coordinator of the Jalisco Consortium for the Internationalization of Higher Education. Thank you so much, Veronica. I would like to say thank you so much to the organizing committee for creating this space and for putting this on so that we can have new and innovative alliances among higher education institutions in British Columbia and the state of Jalisco. I send a warm greeting to Mr. Pompa Padilla, Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, to Louis Coughlin, Consul and Senior Trade Commission, to the Executive Director for Planning, International and Quality Assurance, Jamie Edwardson, to Mr. Randall Martin, Executive Director of the British Columbia Council for International Education, and to the team from the Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, and to the Consortium of Jalisco for making this event possible. The consortium came into force in 2003 officially, and this was a joint initiative between the government of the state of Jalisco and the universities in this state. The University of Guadalajara, the ITESO, the Monterrey Tech Guadalajara campus, the Pan American University, the Universidad Autónoma de Guadalajara, and the UNIVA. Together, these 6 institutions represent 76% of the university population in Jalisco. This represents the majority of researchers in our state. Together, we have relationships with more than 200 international associates, which aids Jalisco's global projection. Over the years, the universities who are part of the consortium have developed numerous initiatives with international organizations, governments, educational institutions all over the world. This has enabled us to strengthen Jalisco as being the second place in terms of a destination for international students. As president of the University Jalisco Consortium, I would like to recognize the enormous effort on behalf of the governments of Canada and Jalisco for making this collaboration happen between universities in Jalisco and British Columbia. This initiative is commendable, especially now that uncertainty is a factor in every single area, and this includes international education. It's not easy to enable an ambitious event such as this one, especially during a pandemic. But I am 100% convinced that these friendships and these linkages that we have created among our institutions and between our provinces will facilitate everything. We continually are creating trust and goodwill between these regions. We have to see all that Jalisco has done in terms of international education and how they've done that hand in hand with British Columbia. Last year in the summer conference for the Whistler is one example. And also in Vancouver, we had a representative from UNIVA who was representing the consortium, who was fomenting relationships and boosting them with Canadian institutions. On that trip, by the way, we had the first alliance between UNIVA and British Columbia, and that was with KPU. In this, we will hear about that further ahead today. We very much appreciate your goodwill in wanting to create these relationships and strengthen them. Thank you to thank you to Canada for these relationships. Thank you for establishing these collaborations. Also, thank you for promoting business between our regions. In sum, I wish for this event to enable us to not only find areas for opportunity, but also the possibility to develop concrete actions for collaboration among our universities, and especially among our academics, our boards of directors, and our institutions. Thank you. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you, Father Francisco Yanez, who joined us as representative of the six institutions that make up the Jalisco Consortium for the Internationalization of Higher Education. Up to now, we have learned about the extensive collaborative framework that exists between Jalisco and British Columbia. Our next speaker will elaborate on practical matters with regard to just one of the numerous possibilities that exist for collaboration among higher education institutions, which is what has today brought us together. British Columbia and Jalisco. Our next speaker is Ms. Allison Clinton, who will talk about current collaboration in place with ITESO and the Royal Roads University in British Columbia. Ms. Allison Clinton is originally from Glasgow, Scotland, and has worked at the ITESO, the Jesuit University of Guadalajara, since 1995, and currently is head of the new Internationalization Office. Welcome, Allison.
Thank you. Buenos dias. Good morning to everybody. It's a pleasure to be here today. And I'd like to begin by thanking the people who made this event possible. I know there has been much planning on both sides, in Jalisco and in British Columbia. And I say a special thanks to you, both front stage and backstage, who put this all together. As you may know, here at the ITESO, the Jesuit University in Guadalajara, we have had a very fruitful relationship with one of the universities from British Columbia, that is to say, Royal Roads University. And that relationship has been ongoing since 2017. Back then at the International Partnership Week, both institutions started a productive dialogue about possible collaborations, and fortunately for us, a few months later, Royal Roads and ITESO signed a joint agreement with a view towards academic collaboration and cooperation. My colleague Isabel Valdez, who is a well-known member of the Jalisco Consortium, tells me that from the very beginning, Royal Roads and its academics and staff were open and cooperative, willing to take part and collaborate in projects with ITESO. Thanks to their enthusiasm, one of the Royal Roads professors raised his hand and said he'd be interested in taking part in ITESO's International Summer Program. Let me briefly explain our International Summer Program. It's just one of the strategies we use in our internationalization from campus effort. It started back in 2011 and has consistently grown in leaps and bounds since then. It consists of a short 4-week program of classes, Monday to Thursday, jointly taught by a visiting professor teaching in their own language and a professor at ITESO, quite often, but not always, teaching in English. Our university pays for the visiting professor's flight, accommodation, and food. And the visiting professor usually gives classes during the first 2 weeks. And this is followed by 2 weeks of classes by the ITESO professor. All the arrangements and agreements between professors takes part between the months of February to April. All the courses are credit-bearing and are usually in high demand. So going back to the Royal Roads case, in the summer of 2019, a professor from Royal Roads, Eugene Tomlinson, came to the ITESO University in Guadalajara to teach alongside Professor Alfredo Brambilla in the Tourism and Hospitality degree program. As I mentioned, both professors had already collaborated and agreed upon the outlay of the 4-week course and what each of them would teach. The class was a hit, a resounding success. Students loved the experience of the international perspective, and professors thoroughly enjoyed the experience of living and teaching in Mexico during the summer. Of course, it's always sunny here. And it was so well received that plans went into action for a repeat of the course in the summer of 2020. However, as we all know, the best laid plans of mice and men, as my patriot would say, Robert Burns, as of March 2020, this year, we knew that face-to-face classes and international travel wouldn't be possible. And we had to come up with a plan B for our international summer program. Our internationalization office asked the visiting professors if they'd be willing to teach online for this summer. And fortunately for us, Eugene from Royal Roads was one of those who said, yes, he would be up for it. And so once again, we had another successful co-taught online class, in spite of all the COVID limitations. As regards what both professors thought of the experience, I can share the following. And this is from Eugene in Royal Roads. Regarding the collaboration with ITESO, I am super supportive of it. If anything, I wish that there were more opportunities to collaborate and work together. I have really enjoyed all of the discussions and sharing of the information with Alfredo. I've been able to let him know about what we've done and what we're doing, and he has done the same for things at ITESO. We've talked about terrific work at ITESO regarding the PAPs, that's the professional application projects, which is kind of akin to internships for credit with social responsibility. And we've discussed the possibility of getting students from both schools to work together in future projects. I've also really enjoyed working with Alfredo on the courses and have loved teaching at ITESO. It's been a terrific experience for me to be interacting with your students. I enjoy hearing their perspectives on tourism and hospitality, as well as Mexico and things in general. You have great students in your program. And he finishes by saying, I would look forward to stronger ties in the future. While it might be somewhat difficult for our students, since very few speak Spanish, it would be interesting to see how at least some of our students might work together in the future. And I plan to continue speaking with Alfredo about areas where we can collaborate further in the future, joint research projects, etc. And at this end, the professor at ITESO, Alfredo Brambilla, he says this: for the future, I can imagine both our programs collaborating in a field trip together, involving students from both campuses working alongside each other on projects and research. I feel that this exchange of tourism ideas from different destinations is the essence of empathy for traveling. I also think that since we know that the teaching can be done online, we could do an online course during the following semester where ITESO students work together with Royal Road students, followed by a field trip of some sorts. He goes on to say, I have been thinking about this semester and how we could put together our students to interact and dialogue about tourism planning. I'm teaching this course and I know that Eugene has the same course at Royal Roads. I have a project related to Mexico's touristic circuits, which our students could present to Royal Road students around mid-November. So we're talking in 2 months' time. I'd like to have a call with Eugene in the coming weeks to talk about collaboration and how to make it work. I don't know about you, but I'd love to be in that Mexico's tourist circus. I'd love to see that. So to finish up and going back to my earlier comment, this collaboration with Royal Roads has been successful, and as you can see, holds the potential for even further growth because both sides have been open, willing to cooperate and explore new joint possibilities involving student exchange, teacher exchange, research projects in both a face-to-face or an online setting. This willingness to be open and collaborate is key. And it's certainly our wish to see further cooperation, not only with Royal Roads, but with many other institutions of higher education from the region of British Columbia. Our professors at ITESO are really looking forward to the B2B session on Tuesday, September 22nd. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, Alison. Ahora escucharemos la experiencia de una
Thank you, Allison. We will now hear about the experience of a Canadian institution from Natasha Fernandez, Global Development Manager at Kwantlen Polytechnic University. She is currently a self-described matchmaker at KPU and is responsible for establishing university associations, managing global partnerships and development, and designing personalized programs for the short term. She is driven by the potential impact that international learning opportunities can have on people and their communities. We will now hear from Natasha.
Thank you, Veronica. Good morning, everyone. Buenos dias. Thank you, Veronica, for that introduction. I'd like to thank our organizers today for the invitation to speak, BCCIE, the Canadian Consulate in Guadalajara, the Ministry of Innovation, Science and Technology, and the Jalisco Consortium for Internationalization of Higher Education. It's really a pleasure to be here today. I'm going to be providing our second case study or example and briefly speaking to KPU's experience in partnering with the Universidad del Valle de Antemajac, UNIVA, in Guadalajara, Mexico. I'm going to primarily focus on a faculty mobility program for my example, but then I'll mention some other areas of cooperation towards the end. I'd also like to preface these remarks by saying that this is a new partnership. It was signed at the end of 2019. And unfortunately, many of the initiatives that we had identified for our first year of collaboration weren't able to take place after all, for the many reasons that we all know so well by now. Begins with a C and ends with a D. So to start off, how did this partnership come to be? I first met Sandra Salazar, the manager of internationalization at UNIVA, at the BCCIE summer conference in 2019. During that event, Veronica Soto, the senior trade commissioner, was traveling with a delegation of representatives from institutions from both Guadalajara and Guanajuato. During the event, there were multiple opportunities to connect. There were networking events. There was a panel presentation featuring the delegates from Mexico, and there was the opportunity to have one-on-one meetings. It was during that panel presentation that the representatives were able to introduce their respective institutions and to also highlight some of the types of collaborations that they were looking for. Sandra and I had connected multiple times during that conference, and from our discussions, what most caught my attention was a visiting faculty program or a short-term teaching program that she told me about called Verano Global, or Global Summer. KPU earlier that year had identified increasing faculty mobility opportunities as a goal for our global engagement strategy. And this program not only sounded unique, but seemed to perfectly align with what we were trying to do. The program sounded impressive and one of a kind for a number of reasons, and I will try and do it justice and give you a few of those examples here. So the program was growing quickly. Within less than 5 years, they had already gotten up to nearly 40 spots being available for visiting faculty from all over the world. The faculty would be teaching intensive, condensed courses over a short period of time, about 3 to 4 weeks. But on top of that, they were offering the faculty the opportunity to offer talks, so additional lectures, connect with local researchers, business, government, media, and organizations related to their areas of interest and expertise. There was also a financial support available with this program, which included flights, accommodation, and stipends for the faculty. So it really was the full package, and we were very excited at the prospect of our faculty members being able to participate. So from there, we decided to follow up with Sandra, and I was able to plan a visit to their main campus in Guadalajara for that following September. During that visit, I met with their international office, toured the campus, including the labs, studios, and workshops. And I was also able to meet with their faculty and to hear about the research and work that they were doing in areas of science and especially horticulture. So there was a clear synergy, not only between our international offices, but also with our academic programs. You could tell that we had a number of things in common, and I'll give you a couple of examples here. Number one, we had both launched mechatronic programs around the same time. So we both had these new diploma programs that we were trying to grow and were eager to promote. And you could tell that we shared this focus on hands-on and applied learning, which was very evident from the studio and the lab spaces that I visited. It very much reminded me of our own Faculty of Trades and Technology and our School of Design. So needless to say, with lots of excitement, we moved forward with this agreement. And as I mentioned before, it was signed towards the end of 2019. Simultaneously, UNIVA had already started accepting applications to the Verano Global program. On our end, we had over 20 expressions of interest from KPU faculty. And in the end, we submitted 10 applications for UNIVA's own faculty to review. From that, we had 2 successful faculty members be chosen. So one was selected from the Faculty of Science and Horticulture, and the second from the School of Business. Needless to say, the deans, the faculty members, and us within the international office, we were all very excited to have 2 faculty members able to participate in this program, which would have been this summer 2020. So unfortunately, and as Allison already touched on, like most of this year, things did not go as planned for the Verano Global program or for our faculty members. I know that from there, UNIVA was quite agile and quickly launched a COIL program. Unfortunately, we weren't able to participate. At that time, our faculty was quite overwhelmed with moving to online learning. But I do see this as a new area that we could explore as we head into 2021. So before I finish up here, I do want to briefly mention the other touch points or intended initiatives that we had between ourselves and UNIVA for this year. So first of all, we are exchange partners. That was always part of our partnership intent or agreement. Also, KPU is an active recipient of KPU was planning to welcome this group to our Richmond campus. So if those meetings had taken place, they would have been meeting with our directors from the Institute for Sustainable Horticulture and our Institute for Sustainable Food Systems. So these are just some of the additional examples of how we planned on working together over this last year. Overall, hopefully this has provided some helpful examples and insight into the variety of activities that can come from a simple networking event or B2B meetings, such as the ones that we'll be taking part in later this month. Looking to the future, and in particular with UNIVA, we hope to work on virtual exchange programs and online co-teaching opportunities with Sandra and her entire international team. Her whole team is a pleasure to work with. Lastly, on a more personal note, I'd like to say that collaborating in this region has been an absolute pleasure. And it's because of the support that you receive and the people you get to work with. When you partner within the region of Jalisco, you are brought of a community of professionals that are all working closely together and working intentionally towards the same goals. It really mirrors the sense of collaboration and camaraderie that we enjoy here in BC within international education. And I hope that you each get the chance to experience this hospitality and professional community firsthand in Mexico. And so on that note, I'm going to pass this back to Veronica. Thank you so much.
Muchas gracias, Natasha. Esperando que estos dos ejemplos sean para todos ustedes una motivación para seguir buscando.
Thank you, Natasha. I hope these examples motivate all of the Embassy of Canada in Caracas. Luis, the floor is yours. Good afternoon. I am going to speak in Spanish. Minister Alfonso Pompa Padilla, Mr. Jamie Edwardson, and esteemed members of the consortium. First and foremost, I want to thank the Open Platform for Innovation and the Ministry of Innovation, Science, and Technology for being our hosts today. It is an honor to be here this morning and to witness this collaborative event spotlighting international education that is designed to spearhead dialogue among professors, researchers, and international students at the universities of Jalisco and British Columbia. BCIE, we have seen a continued presence and dialogue between both regions. But it is with today's event that professors and faculty members of universities in both these regions will begin to explore opportunities for collaborative work in areas such as health, design, digital arts, technology, food security, Indigenous education, and more. The pandemic has not stopped us. On the contrary, these ties that are now virtual help us create an even more global society and strengthen linkages between Jalisco and British Columbia. 1 year after my arrival in Jalisco as consul, I have witnessed the quality and capabilities of this state's universities, and I am proud that British Columbia has been chosen as the province to collaborate with you on educational matters. Both regions are recognized as being innovative, and I am sure that this dialogue will be the beginning of many new initiatives for both Jalisco and British Columbia. September 22nd will mark the day that institutions from BC and the Jalisco Consortium will have virtual meetings to source academic and collaboration partners. More than 20 institutions and 35 academics from BC will be participating and are looking forward to meeting virtually and getting started on collaborative dialogues. In the name of the Government of Canada, I would like to thank the Ministry of Innovation, Science and Technology, the Jalisco Consortium, the BCCIE, and everyone involved in facilitating this dialogue. I wish you great success. Thank you, merci, gracias. Thank you, Luis. We would like to recognize everyone at the UPE, the Universidad Autónoma de Guadalajara, the Jalisco Consortium, our partners at BCCIE that have made this dialogue possible. Our last speaker is Colin Dewar, Director of External Relations for the British Columbia Council for International Education. Colin has more than 12 years of experience in international education, coordinating initiatives for universities and the community at large. He received the Asia Pacific Award, which enabled him to study Chinese language and culture in Beijing. Colin and the entire BCCIE team have been the essential link and invaluable allies for developing this event and fostering relations. Thank you so much, Colin.
Thank you so much, Vero, and buenos dias a todos. I'm just delighted to offer a few closing comments and thank yous. I have just also been informed we have over 130 participating today through our various platforms, Zoom, Facebook, YouTube. So thank you again for all our attendees to spend this time with us as well. I would like to thank, of course, all the panelists, participants and partners and special guests joining us in today's plenary as part one of this initiative. I would also like to extend a special thank you to Ms. Maria Jose Castellazo for her exceptional support for this event. Maria Jose is the International Affairs Coordinator at the Ministry of Innovation, Science and Technology in the state of Jalisco, of course. Her minister and the whole team there for her invaluable support, and of course, coordination with the Jalisco University Consortium. And I would be remiss in not recognizing the leadership of Veronica Soto, Trade Commissioner at the Canadian Consulate in Guadalajara, for really envisioning this inaugural partnership event between BC and Jalisco. And of course, the commitment and support provided by the Consul Louis Coughlin and Global Affairs Canada for supporting today's platform as well. So I just want to turn our attention now to part two of this initiative, and those are our follow-up B2B meetings scheduled for September 22nd. Part two is really where we endeavor to concretize and make substantial progress on our international collaborations and partnership between BC and Jalisco. Today, you heard two case studies examples. We endeavor here to open up the room for the rest of the Jalisco Consortium and invite the BC institutions to make those connections and really advance to make concrete progress on this. So we hope this platform today has helped advance that. We'd like to remind all the delegates that the platform, the Marcom platform, is now open to review the institutional profiles and schedule your meetings accordingly for the 22nd. And all the detailed instructions are there as well. So I will leave my comments there and my thank yous. Muchas gracias a todos. Que esté bien. Thank you so much. And we look forward to continuing this dialogue and opportunities during this time.
Muchas gracias a todos.
Thank you so much to everyone. In closing, we wish you all an excellent afternoon. Thank you so much for participating.